You're enjoying walking calmly, confidently, and serenely along a path that runs by the side of some peaceful looking woods. It's a beautiful time of day, restful and balmy, just as the daytime is starting to turn to evening and on to night. The warmth of the sunny day that is ending lingers on your skin, warming and calming your face and hands and limbs. Step by happy step, your walk loosens and soothes the muscles of your legs and butt and back, starting to work out any tension and stress you might be carrying. It also starts to relax your mind as the rhythm of your pace calms your whole system and lets your thoughts float outwards to enjoy and appreciate your surroundings on this fine evening. Slowly but surely, your brain starts to forget all your worries and concerns. You stop thinking about the past, stop musing on the future, and start to just enjoy the moment, here, present and unruffled. As the beautiful warm sun sets off in the distance, the daylight world is starting to settle down for the night, and the nighttime world begins to stir into action. The day is cooling down, the sun is setting over at the horizon in the distance. The birds and animals of the day are winding their way home to make themselves safe and comfortable, while the nocturnal creatures yawn and move and stretch and start their days slowly and calmly. The daytime insects and birds and other creatures of the earth are slowing down, nestling in, settling their feathers and fur and wings. The social ones snuggle up inside their dens and nests and snugs and hives, gently grooming and soothing one another as they settle into sleep. Bellies full and heavy, slowly digesting, breathing becoming deeper and slower, eyes softly closing, relaxing into their beds at the sleepy end of another busy day. To one side of you as you walk is the placid and dense array of trees and bushes and other flora that makes up the body of the woods. You can only just barely see through the intertwining network of branches and twigs and leaves and vines. Just tiny, barely there glimpses of the cool, serene, tempting interior beyond the wall of trunks and bushes that distinguish and protect the woodland from the rest of the world. As your feet hit the ground in a steady rhythm, one after another, left after right, right after left, your gaze keeps being drawn back to the peaceful and totally mesmerizing recesses of the evening-lit woodland. From within comes the cool, relaxing, grounding scent of the woodland. Soft, refreshing air laden with earthy richness, wood, flowers, ferns and more. You can see hints of yellows, pinks, whites, purples and more from the woodland flowers which coat the ground. An earthy rainbow of natural, grounding colours from ochre to khaki and clay. All the browns and greens and oranges of a woodland in the light of the setting sun. The few clouds you can see are almost glowing, like golden pink candy floss, whipped in pretty, vibrant streaks across the sky. They sedately flow across the darkening expanse as you meander past more gorgeous flora. So many beautiful trees. Their branches and twigs seem to reach out to you, adding their voice to the chorus that invites you to enter the woods and enjoy the peace. The same soft, cooling evening breeze that moves the clouds in the glorious sky above you whispers across your skin, bringing the last hints of the sense of daytime with it. Flowers and animals and the day's cooking. A faint whiff of a recently lit fire from someone's home drifts into your awareness just on the very edge of olfactory sensation. The whish and twirl of the leaves dancing in the breeze lulls you and draws your attention even more towards the woods as you continue to walk and enjoy the space around you. This calm and pleasant evening stroll takes you to the start of an inviting, enticing little path that winds and swirls and leads into the alluring soft interior of the beautifully calm woods. You serenely amble down the path, one step at a time, into the beckoning tree line as the setting sun paints the sky with the most beautiful array of soothing, tranquil colours. The path winds off into the thick woodland in front of you, meandering past mighty, ancient, twisted trunks, past tiny, elegant saplings, past rotted old dead stumps, bushes, clumps of grass, flowers, piles of dead leaves, and more. The woodland is full of sights, spellbindingly beautiful, enticing and unique. Ivy vines wrap around tree trunks and branches, creating Geiger-esque shapes that twirl and curl, loop back on themselves, and disappear into the gloaming. As you look more carefully, you realize that tiny, beautiful flowers brighten up every spot you rest your gaze upon, enticing you, tempting you to enter and explore the never-ending beauty of the woods within. As you step beneath the branches of the big, beautiful trees, the world becomes a mix of light and shade. The last of the sun's light ripples and filters through the branches and tree trunks, dappling the path before you in ever-shifting, ever-changing patterns of beautiful light and dark. The light moves like water across the bark of the mighty trees around you, the leaves glowing like beacons oh so briefly before the breeze moves them out of the light and back into darkness again. You see glimpses of lichens and mosses, flashes of yellows and greens, blacks and greys among the browns of the bark and the darkness of the shadows. Enticing lichens tempt you to stay and get lost in their stunning shapes and colours, some with seaweed-like fronds, some almost flat to the wood they adorn, some like fluffy granules, all unique and beautiful and mesmerising. Moss calls out to your desire to caress its soft greenery. You gently flicker your fingers across a gorgeous dark green moss that clings to a beautiful oak. Just for a moment, the soft plant tickles your fingertips and palms, a gentle, comforting feeling that seems to draw the stress right out of you. For a few seconds, you just stand and breathe deeply and take it all in. The lovely air on your skin is blessedly cool, gentle, and light goosebumps lift up from the surface of your skin as you adjust to the change of temperature. You take in a deep, slow breath to enjoy the aroma of the woods, earth and moss and cool water somewhere. The smell of trees and woodland flowers and a million creatures big and small. The smell of beautiful nature, comforting and grounding. As your ears start to attune to the soundscape that surrounds and envelops you, you realize the woods are full of birds, settling down for the night. Chirps, cheeps, flutters as they come into their perches and nests. Little flying figures in blues and browns, yellows, reds, and more. Animated little jewels of nature, living, winged, precious stones descending from the canopy, feathers being fluffed up and settled back down again. Tiny bodies making themselves comfortable at the end of a long day, readying themselves to go to sleep. All around you it is lush, vigorous, and so very green. All the different greens of the earth, from the palest silvery sage to the deepest emerald. All the greens of nature, from almost white to almost black. Shadows play on the colours, turning lights dark and darks light as the canopy far overhead changes where the light of sunset hits. When you look above to the ever-shifting leaves at the top of the trees, the remaining light makes them seem almost see-through. They glow and shimmer and swish back and forth ever so gracefully, swaying and undulating in the breaths of wind. Back and forth they sway, back and forth, back and forth, like the very woodland is breathing with you, in and out, soft and gentle, in and out, swaying gently, a soporific and hypnotic sensation that lulls and calms you. The rhythm of the woodland entices you to start moving. Step by step, you move further into the tree line, calm and gently excited to explore the gorgeous natural world that invites you in. The pacific and serene nature of the woodland starts to seep into your thoughts and breath and limbs as you walk. You decide to step off the path to explore a peaceful little glade to the side, reveling in the give and return of the spongy moss sinking under your feet. You spring lightly from moss-covered mound to moss-covered mound, moving with joy and abandon like a child, trying not to damage the moss as you go, gently and lightly, like a fabulous wee sprite. You come across a long, long ago fallen tree laying across the ground, absolutely covered in more moss and vines of ivy, surrounded by massive ferns in all sizes and shapes of mushrooms. Rusty orange fungus staggers up the side of a fallen trunk, like a living staircase for insects. Large, plump, pale mushrooms festoon the ground, with tiny, wobbly brown ones interspersed among them. The ferns move gently, swishing and swaying faintly to a rhythm all their own. You sit on the trunk, careful not to disturb anything as you go. For a few minutes, you just sit here, eyes closed, breathing deeply, enjoying the tranquility. Slowly and calmly breathing into your abdomen and out again at the same steady pace. Just enjoying the feeling of breathing in peace and quiet. After a while, movement catches your eye, and you turn to spot a squirrel scampering and leaping with ease and joy through the encroaching evening light, bouncing gracefully past you, springing from branch to branch, from twig to twig, from trunk to trunk, like a fluffy acrobat. You focus your attention on the little figure and realize you can hear its claws scratching the wood of the tree, and even its breath as it whips and speeds its way home, scrabbling up the sheer side of a beech tree and launching its elegant wee body into the air with practiced moves, landing with confidence for a half beat before leaping forth once again, heading deep into the woods to its dray, racing the coming night to get home before it gets too dark, leaving the world to the nighttime folk. You watch the slight figure race out of view, becoming smaller and smaller as it scurries off into the dark, dark undergrowth. One last flick of the tail as if to say good night, and the squirrel is gone. You pause for a moment to take in what you just saw, to be grateful for the experience. When you become aware of your surroundings again, you immediately start to enjoy the play of light and dark on the leaves of a holly bush. You stretch out your hand in front of you to watch the way the light and the shadow dance and slink across your own skin, seeing how the colours shift and change. When you look around you, the shadows almost seem to be alive. They almost seem to grow and shrink as the light filters through from the upper levels of the grove of trees you've stopped in. Valleys of darkness vanish as light appears and turn to deep, deep canyons of darkness as a cloud obscures the light. Dappled, dusky luminescence floats and flows over the bark of a huge chestnut tree. You watch the patterns change and move, breathing softly and calmly, like water draining down a window, throwing shadows against an inner wall. The ever-changing organic shapes move so gracefully, so calmly across the bark you could watch it forever. But instead, you allow your attention to drift once again, your feet to be drawn slowly and serenely back to the path. Your senses open up and take in the totality of the glorious woodland you walk through. You sniff the air like one of the nocturnal creatures who are starting their day. a deep breath that fills up your lungs and expands your chest and abdomen. Your nose is filled with the scents of the evening, a rich, heady scent of vegetation, old and new, hints of animals who have passed by on their own journeys through the undergrowth, a hint of damp mossiness, the scent of the air cooling as the day turns to nighttime around you. You see a clump of ferns ahead of you, swaying gently in this softest of breezes. Some of the fronds are still unwinding, their splendid, perfect spirals of dense plant matter, stylish whorls at the ends of ever-growing stalks. Some of the fronds have completely unfurled, displaying each arm of a frond to its best, almost waving at you to look closer. You run your fingers across one of them, feeling the shapes and softness, admiring this most ancient of plants. The changing, fading light gives them an almost grey-green colour, like something from a sci-fi movie. The fronds seem to wave goodbye to you as you resume your stroll once again. You continue on your serene and soothing walk, moving slowly and steadily down the path, deeper and deeper, further and further into the restful woods. The sound of your feet making contact with the compacted earth of the path echoes faintly in the evening quiet. The last rays of golden light disappear over the horizon, leaving the navy blue sky of dusk behind. It's the in-between time. No longer daytime, but not quite fully nighttime yet. Shadows in grey and blue fill the woods around you. Distinctions between individual trees and plants become almost meaningless. It could be a little spooky, the way the details can get lost in the changing light and growing shadows. But the peace and serenity of the woodland ensures you simply feel relaxed and curious about exploring the nooks and crannies of the stunning natural spaces around you. While you stop to admire the colours of the leaves on the ground, you notice movement out the corner of your eye. From within the trees across the path emerges a stunning stag, a mighty deer with enormous antlers, carefully stepping past the trees so as not to get tangled. He notices you, and you watch each other for a moment. His huge, dark brown eyes blink and flutter. Glorious eyelashes bat away tiny flies. The beautiful browny red coat and white markings that help him blend into the trees make him stand out against the path. He stands there, a majestic vision of strength and confident energy in the growing darkness. He steps across the path surprisingly delicately for such a large animal and heads into the trees on the other side. And with majesty and grace, he carefully makes his way deeper into the woods. He walks with such care and delicacy that he barely stirs the undergrowth as he moves through it. The bushes and small trees almost seem to bend out of his way to allow him through. You continue your wandering, happily moving along this beautiful path through the woods. No destination in mind, no goal beyond the joy of walking through nature, just enjoying the evening, the trees and the path before you. You enjoy hearing the bats emerging from their daytime hides for the nightly hunt. You can hear the tiny scrabbling paws on wood, little peeps and cheeps as they test the night air, the unfurling of their leathery wings, and the teensiest whoosh as they take off into the night. The air above you fills with movement and little squeaks as the wonderful wee creatures take to the sky. You enjoy the occasional scent of earth that catches your nose as you walk past them. You enjoy the sensation of the twilight air playing across your skin, cooling and refreshing you even as you walk. When you stop again for a moment to enjoy your surroundings, you can hear the faint sounds of the scurrying little bodies of nocturnal mammals in among the leaf litter on the ground around you. Minuscule squeaks and peeps reach your ears from the ground, just on the very edge of your hearing. Leaves move slightly as little bodies rush about collecting food. You close your eyes to focus on the sounds, imagining which mice or voles might be scampering about near your feet. Rodent motorways through the leaves and sticks and moss. You allow yourself to imagine little mousy traffic jams, and a smile crosses your face. You open your eyes again to see if you can catch a glimpse of one of the tiny creatures, but the shadows and detritus create perfect hidey spots and safety tunnels for them to go about their business. The most you can spot is the path they take as they shift the matter above them in their scampering, until you see a tiny, snuffly nose poke out from under a huge leaf. It sniffs the air cautiously before the rest of the animal follows. It's a fabulous wee hedgehog, the tiny nose wiggling and twitching as it explores the world around it. The hedgehog's little legs help it move surprisingly fast, carrying its mighty bulk with its wonderful spikes arranged neatly and smoothly down its back. It stops its scurrying and sits beside a large stump for a breather, calmly observing you as you observe it. The hedgehog takes a few moments to just breathe and sit with you before scampering away back into the night. You see the trees of almost every kind encircle you. Beautiful elder and elm, oak and birch, chestnut and sycamore. Branches thick and thin sway and twist in the air, flowing back and forth, back and forth. The leaves and blossoms and buds whisper and purr through the air as they move and dance and flow. Smooth bark and rough, some almost as flat as paper, some with deep canyons and knots and crenellations you could get lost exploring. Some ancient, thick trunks covered in lichen, and young, spindly, flexible saplings striving to reach the sky and the light beyond the older ones who tower above. The woodland floor is littered with broken branches, old dead stumps barely visible beneath a thick, thick layer of moss, years of old leaves and more. You kick your feet through the dried old leaves and watch with joy as they flutter about and back to the earth. Rich, deep reds and browns, old leaves from last year, home to tiny creatures, nourishing and protecting the earth beneath. The cycle of nature writ in these beautiful earthy colours beneath your feet. Small puddles and pools of water occasionally throw back glistening reflections, small fairy baths created by nooks and crannies in tree trunks full of rainwater. You hear a rare noise from the pools, as if a frog or toad moved under the water's surface, never quite glimpsing one however hard you stop and stare. Wherever you walk, tiny moths and other insects flitter and flutter up from the leaves and other matter that litters the ground. Like minute fairies, glittering in the fading hints of what is left of twilight, twisting and dancing gently on the air currents you create as you pass through. Tiny, delicate bodies spin and fly and wheel in a whirlwind of activity. You stay to watch them for a while. Some are tiny brown specks, like dancing smoky quartz in the wafts of air. Larger mottled grey moths bump and float in between them, while larger ones still, with their wings adorned in eyes, move from resting spot to resting spot. Slower than their tiny counterparts, but no less beautiful. Flying jewels cavort and whirl, exquisitely tracing paths around and between one another, capering and bobbing in the currents of cooling air. Hypnotic pirouettes and sparkles of life and energy. Watching them is so soothing and relaxing. You find your muscles relaxing even further, tension leaving your jaw and shoulders and temples, even as your thoughts drift and float like the delightful insect ballroom you see before you. Your feet pick up the pace through the woods once again as you continue to follow the curving, sinuous path through the trees. Branches and twigs and leaves playfully graze you as you pass them, the leaves oh so softly caressing your face. The woodland ground gives and springs back lightly as your feet move ever steadily forward into the darkening woods. You start to hear the faint hint of running water, slowly but steadily getting louder as the path winds towards it. You hear what sounds like a stream, flowing and gurgling and bouncing its way down through the woodland and beyond. You turn a corner past a glorious and mighty oak tree and see the beautiful stream gracefully meandering through a clearing. You realize the moon has come out as you walked, when you see the silvery light dancing on the water and lighting up the ground and world all around you. You look up to see the brilliant full moon aglow in the black night sky. All around you, the moon's light creates brilliant plays of light and dark, deep black shadows against silver highlights on the bark and leaves, off stones and rocks, drops of water from the stream, and even individual blades of grass appear like little silver stalagmites straining for the sky, with pitch black caverns between each blade. The silvery burn invites you to sit and stay a while, so you gratefully sit down on the bank to rest your feet, and you sit back to watch the water flow. Black and silver movement, endlessly changing, refreshing, moving, mesmerizing ripples and swirls, water constantly passing by on its eternal journey round the earth. Occasional twigs and slim branches make their way past you, borne on the water to who knows what end. Rocks emerging from the stream create mini waterfalls and rapids, redirecting the flow of water over and around themselves. Every now and again, a particularly big splash reaches you. Minuscule droplets of fresh, cold water graze your face and hands, refreshing you and washing away some of your weariness. The inviting grass-covered ground beneath you, cooling from the day but not yet too cold, feels so solid and supportive beneath your body. The soft grass brushes your skin, tickling you gently. You lie back in peace for a moment with your eyes closed, head resting on your hands, and relax into enjoying the sounds of the water moving ever onward, steadily down the stream. Gurgles and splashes as the water swirls around more rocks just visible in the moonlight beneath the surface. Plops and drops and sluggish burbles almost start to form music, nature's music, pleasing sounds and rhythms created by the forces of nature meeting here in this peaceful moment. Water meeting earth and generating happy, gentle sounds that nourish and amuse you. When you eventually open your eyes to appreciate the moon high in the sky above you, you realize you can see a couple of the planets too. Just very faintly, only barely visible with the glow of the full moon illuminating the sky. You can't see any stars, but the two planets catch your eye, and you find yourself imagining traveling the vast distances between us and the planets we share the solar system with. Imagining seeing them from above, circling them, and returning to Earth to see the familiar continents and colours from above. If only, you sigh gently to yourself. It's a passing wistfulness, though, as your attention returns to the stunning world around you. You become filled with gratitude for the beautiful planet that sustains us. You lie for a few moments more, breathing deeply and thinking about all you are grateful for on this planet, our wonderful home. You start to feel a slight chill lying on the ground, so you begin to press yourself up. For a moment, you get lost in the feeling of the soft grass your hand happened to rest upon. The minute fronds of downy grass kiss your fingers and wrist. You softly dig your fingers in so as not to harm the beautiful grass, enjoying the sensations on your fingertips. These questing fingertips sense the dirt of the earth, as well as tiny stones and twigs, and even what feels like a snail shell, spiraling, solid and smooth. You can feel moisture where splashes of water have fallen to the ground from the stream, and dry earth where none has reached. Lumps and bumps of the ground, tiny, tiny hills and valleys, ant paths and woodlouse highways in between the blades and clumps of grass. Just as you start to rise, you notice a small creature emerging from the tree line towards the water. A beautiful, sinuous pine marten boldly wanders out of the undergrowth on the opposite side of the stream from you. The dark brown fur on the majority of its body acts as a beautiful camouflage against the trees and ground, but the pale chest and ears make it easy for you to follow in the moonlight, especially when the bright wee eyes reflect back the glow of the moon itself. The lovely little creature casually makes its way on all fours down to a stone on the edge of the stream across from you. It looks at you for a moment, then lowers its head to drink. The tiny tongue laps up the water quietly and steadily. You watch in peaceful gratitude until the adorable little being is done. It looks at you again, a moment of stillness and calm between two strangers, before it heads off upstream and away from you. Eventually you get to your feet again and decide to stroll on down a new path that follows the stream, past some elegant willows whose branches and leaves trail through the water so gracefully, skimming and dipping into the silver and black water, past grand and elegant birches, shuffling and whispering above you in the night breeze, the moonlight highlighting the silver bark, past stumps and stones and the occasional fallen branch across your path. The occasional noise from the undergrowth reminds you that the night is full of life, little creatures in the dense woodland floor, scurrying and scampering and eating all they can. The swooshing and whooshing of the leaves above and around you rocks and lulls you. You get lost in the sound as you walk forward, deeper into the calm and beautiful woods. Above you, the moon also continues her journey across the heavens and through the night. The silvery white glow seems to halo out further from the moon's surface than it has any right to. The moon looks larger than usual, almost seeming to grow in the sky as you stop walking to gaze upwards at the beautiful, meteor-struck face of the Earth's companion. Your eyes trace the pocks and craters and streaks of matter that show the mighty collisions that have changed the look of the moon so many times over the millennia. Every change adding to her unique beauty, every change adding to her story and that of our solar system, every change making her more mesmerizing and more beautiful. You turn to appreciate the way the moonlight dapples the trees and the stream and the glistening stones along its bank. Dark, dark shadows where not even a hint of light approaches, against the silver of everything being touched by the light of the wonderful moon. Movement catches your attention at the very corner of your vision, and you turn to realize you can see the silhouette of an owl silently gliding by the moon, a gorgeous aerial mover sedately floating grandly by on the night's thermals with self-assurance and grace. A perfect silhouette of an owl with its incredible wings fully outspread against the ultimate canvas, our glorious satellite. You turn your head to follow its flight until it passes beyond the light of the moon and you can no longer see it. With that, you decide to move on, your steps moving you deeper and deeper into the quiet woodland. The solid earth receives your steps with muffled thumps. Breathing steadily to match your steps, keeping an eye on the path as you go. The stream continues to burble and gurgle and tinkle beside you as you walk, one foot after the other with confident, strong steps. One foot after the other with joy and curiosity to see what your journey brings next. Unwaveringly heading forward, putting one foot in front of the other, enjoying the sensations of the ground hitting your feet, your blood pumping round your system, the air moving past your face. And occasionally you have to step over branches or logs that cross the path, while twigs and branches gently graze your skin and your clothes, never catching or scratching or pulling, just caressing you and letting you know you're part of the world around you. Every now and again the path forks. You choose at random which way to go, deciding on a whim, confident that wherever you go it will be peaceful and enchanting and serene. Your peaceful, consistent, steady steps eventually bring you to another, much smaller clearing than the last. The thick, dense trees and the deep, thick canopy above have created a tiny warm spot here in the heart of the languid and sleepy woods. You see an inviting little nook at the foot of a magnificent sturdy tree. Huge roots with a space between them that looks like it will cradle you perfectly. Covered in moss and soft leaves, it calls out to you to stop and rest again. You slowly take a seat, leaning back with gratitude against the tree, which seems to have almost grown to support you here at this moment. Your back and backside, legs and arms are all comfortably held in softness as your muscles relax and let go one after another after your walk. One by one, your limbs let go of a little more tension as your breath deepens and slows. You're so relaxed here, cradled by the powerful roots and the trunk of the huge tree you sit beneath. In the distance, you hear the sound of the stream carrying on its journey through the night against a background of trees moving in the air. Above you, through the protective canopy, you can see the moon, crisscrossed with twigs and leaves and branches, black silhouettes against the brilliant brightness of the moon. You close your eyes for a moment to really enjoy the gentle, soporific sounds of the woods at night, nature's lullaby to you. An owl hoots gently off in the distance, and a response comes from another one across the treetops. A badger or another large animal snuffles through the leafy undergrowth with steady, patient confidence. Bats still flutter and chirp in the air as they hunt. The calmness of the night helps to soothe and relax you even further. The tranquil tree holds you just out of the breeze, keeping you warm and so very comfortable. Your breath steadily gets slower and deeper. In and out you breathe with the night. In and out, softly and gently. The warm little grove almost seems to breathe with you. The swaying branches overhead move in rhythm with your inhales and exhales. It almost feels like the entire woodland is in tune with you and you with it. As you slip deeper and deeper into relaxation, some of the animals of the wood start to approach and surround you to keep you warm and safe. A family of badgers first shuffles close, their white fur almost aglow in the moonlight, and one by one they lie down around you. The heat from their sturdy little bodies comforts and lulls you further into a sleepy state. They settle down too, and their own sleepy breath becomes mildly hypnotic. In and out they breathe together, in and out slowly and gently, in and out steadily and confidently. Your own breath starts to match theirs, and as one you breathe together, slowly and smoothly in and out. You relax and rest here with your new badger friends. After a while you hear movement and crack one eye open to see a family of foxes join your little clearing. 2 young cubs gambol lazily, bellies bulging full and tiny eyes droopy with sleep. Their parent calmly assesses you and the badgers, and apparently deciding all is well, lies down near your increasingly strange woodland pack and curls up with her head on her stunning fluffy tail. She tries to keep one eye open to watch her cubs, but a huge yawn from one of the badgers triggers a chain reaction that hits the fox and her cubs too. The tiny wee foxes curl up with their mother, yawn once again, and let themselves fall asleep. Their mother blinks at you and the sleepy badgers and drifts away to sleep herself. Your own eyes blink closed again. You can hear the sleepy sounds of the animals around you. One of the fox cubs whimpers and barks quietly in his dreams as he processes his day. A badger snores gently and softly, breathing in and out, in and out. Above the drowsy collection of foxes and badgers and one sleepy human, the moths and bats do their nightly dance. Tiny wings fluttering and flapping, the faint noises becoming more obvious as the night becomes more quiet. The deep sleeping breathing of the creatures around you and the soft movement of the woods in the gentle gusts of wind rock you back into a state of deep calm and relaxation. The muscles of your legs let go, relaxing into the moss-covered roots that bear them. Your glutes similarly slacken and ease into the perfect support beneath them. Your back muscles surrender one by one as your core and hips also just let go and relax. Tummy, ribs, lower back, hips all disengage and let the tree support them. Your shoulders and your neck, and lastly your head, all loosen and soften back into the warm, supportive embrace of the mighty tree and its bed of moss. You lie here, relaxed, breathing deeply, surrendering to the support of the earth, warmed and protected by your animal friends. You can stay here as long as you need, breathing, relaxing, tranquil and serene.